wave your flag to get your young people to the front line of battle. But when they come back home, you're not waving that flag to see to it of all the horrors and how you deal with that. Then that's not a flag you waving, that's a rag you waving. So when you look at the homeless people out there in the street, 47% of all homeless people are veterans, and 98% of them have mental problems. Okay? That we just look at them as homeless people, and then that's the game we play. You see, war is a game. You win wars by killing women and children, not soldiers. Why? Every time you read that so-and-so just bombed a munitions plant, that's women and young folks. The soldiers is at the front line. Every time you read where something was blown up past the war zone, if you are Italian, and I am Irish, and I'm German, and you fighting me, you white and I'm white. You have a uniform and I have a uniform. Once you take that uniform off, I don't know who you are. Okay, that's how corrupt war is. That's why football and basketball and sports, each team have a different outfit. So in the height of my conscience, I don't make a mistake and throw the ball to the Kentucky player. And so that's what war. Church is the same thing. Why do you think all churches have a different outfit? How come if the so-and-so are Christians and the Catholics, why they wear one thing and I wear something else and we still Christians? All of that, all those are games that they play. The church got this philosophy. The Catholics have this one over here. The one God. There are no different things. And anybody says, God says we need to go to war. In the Bible, they put God anywhere they want it. And so consequently, all of this is in our minds. And so I keep asking a simple question. How come there are no atheists on death row? Now, my mama and all her friends, they will figure out all kind of ways to say, no. And what makes black folks, I can't speak for white folks, what makes black folks think they have to defend God? What you qualify for? What makes you, and what makes you think God needs you to defend it? You tell somebody, I don't believe in God, they go crazy, What do you mean? God, God don't need you. And that snow just proved that the other day. You look at me, and then look at me, and then look at you, and all of y'all look at you. It ain't never been two of us in the history of the planet that's alike. You look at that snow that come down. There's not two in the history of the planet. There's never been two snowflakes that's the same. There's never been two leaves on a tree that's the same. And everybody talk about unity this. And so I'm saying it has affected our mind, and we're not aware of it. And then I'm sure there's some young people coming through today, and there's some folks that probably knew it was scared to say it, okay, because of the going against the tide. And so consequently, when you sit and think about the whole culture thing, and one day I hope they get rid of all that old crazy culture, also where the war started. There's where all the viciousness started. When the Catholic Church elevated the first Polish to the Pope, 1.5 million white folks left the Catholic Church. I mean, I wonder if they'd have walked out of a prostitute house.
Dick, hold on a second. Dick, this is WHCR 90.3 on the FM dial. Our guest online is Brother Dick Gregory, and we're talking the preliminary part about Black history. It all relates. In the beginning, you said, in terms of the history of Black folks, you focus on two things. You said slavery, and you went into the remnants of it, how it's probably and possibly embedded in our DNA, our genes in the current period, and has to be looked at and programmed out. What is the second element that you look at?
It's the mind thing, the fact that nobody has, what is good hair, man? What is good hair? You know, I heard Black folks talking about, even I talked about it, it's part of the culture. She got good hair. Hold it, wait a minute. My hair didn't come from the Chase Manhattan Bank. It didn't come from white folks. It came from that universal God that made. Now, are you telling me that God made something good and God made something bad? Huh? No, I picked that up here. An example of what happened. When Bill Cosby got in trouble about talking about ghetto women, he didn't mention dope pushers. He didn't mention pimps and hustlers. Women. Wait a minute, hold it. But why did he get in trouble? He have never talked about black negativity like Malcolm X, like Elijah Muhammad, like the Nation of Islam. How come they don't get in trouble? Because they talked about it in the black community. They didn't use a white platform. They didn't. 98% of people there that night, I was there, were white folks. $500,000 a ticket. The New York Times, the Washington Post ran it. My grandmother didn't see it. She just heard. And so consequently, and then anytime a black person can say something, and then white folks start choosing sides. You know, so let me just say this. I never say anything else. White folks scared us about the Nation of Islam. We never heard of them. My brother didn't know about no Islam. And we went to the movies. We saw Arabs in Arabian Nights and all of that. We didn't go hear about everything. We hear the prayer chant at night. We don't hear nothing else. And then all at once they told us that Malcolm and the Nation of Islam was evil. Evil. Stay away from them. And so, okay, we listened. We stayed away. We would smile at them when we walked past the street because we were scared of them. We'd buy Muhammad speak because we scared not to buy one. And so we get to work, and somebody said, "What about Malcolm X? Malcolm who?" Like we didn't know him. Then they killed Malcolm and put his picture on a stamp. How many of you black folks know a personal person that's on a stamp? But they told us not to like him. They told us they are evil. They hate white folks. And listen to the stuff you say about white folks when you come home. And so consequently, when you stop and think about today, we're talking about drug addiction. We're talking about murder in the black community. And yet we haven't reached out to Baptist Church, Catholic Church, in the Mexican community. Now, let me tell you about when I was a little boy, Catholic schools, the Catholic Church in St. Louis was segregated. They had Catholic schools, black, Catholic schools, white, okay? And I would hear black folks say, "Yeah, girl, you having trouble with that boy? Send him over there to them nuns don't take no stuff." Well, the Muslim, you ain't never said send them to Islam, because it's not white, But I know people send their children to Catholic schools just for discipline, And I wish a nun would hit me, slap me on my hand with a ruler. She's going to find out what that feel like.
Hold on a second, Dick, while we pause for station identification. And Dick Gregory and Brother Dick, just in terms of some of the personalities that you have known that we should know about. I know the third person was Sister Alvinia, the sister that guided you in terms of your fasting, etc. So start with either Johnson, Gaston, or Sister Alvinia, and just give us capsules of their value for our research beyond this program.
Go into that. If I cut you today, and you leave the studio and you're walking down the street, everybody see you. They have a look on their face, right?
That's correct.
But they see what? They see blood, right?
Right.
If you see somebody staggering, in the old days, the only people you saw stagger were drunks. But when the last time you seen somebody staggering because of alcohol, right? So if you see somebody staggering today, you run over and say, "What's wrong?" If you see somebody sitting on the curb crying, you run over. That's the universe's way to let the world something is wrong. When you come in the ghetto and see the streets are dirty, that's universal order to let you know something's happening.
Yes.
Okay? Just like if you bleeding. Now, if you walk down the street and put fake blood on you, I still react the same way. If a car turns over on the highway and there's some white folks passing by, they can be Klansmen. They get out and come over and say, "Are you all right?" This is what it is. You don't run and ask a white person if they don't land on the street, "Are you a Klansman? Do you like black folks? Do you hate?" Right. That's universal law. And so it's normal for black folks not to know their history. I got other problems on my mind. Not knowing my history is not going to get me lynched. Not knowing who. Now, all that other stuff is a luxury item. You buy suede shoes as a luxury item. You buy a car, a convertible. That's a luxury item. That's not the only car you have in this part of the country. What you going to do in the wintertime? And so when we look and talk about if you don't know your history, that ain't nothing but crap. I got to survive today. And so consequently, when we sit back now and we look at Alvenia Fools, look, people thought she was crazy, People thought she was crazy. I used to go into her store in the Stone Ghetto, man, and I see the pimps and the hustlers in there, the gambling, the roustabouts, okay? And so, wait a minute, I said, hey, wait a minute, why are they in here dealing with health? And then I noticed they would come in and get this salad. They come in every day and get this salad. And I didn't pay no attention to anything else. And then the salad dressing, she put in a little cup. They would drink that and leave the salad. And then I realized one day, it stimulates your sex glands. That's what they was coming from. This Viagra. This is late, man. These are pimps and hustlers, man, would come in every day. That's who she was. She put, and look, in 1960, if she didn't make $6,000 a day, she had a bad day, And that was just in the black community. They would bring her around the country to speak, but they wouldn't give her no time because, she didn't have the glamour.
Yes.
Nobody heard of her.
Yes.
And so consequently, she was curing cancer. She was curing everything. You just go see Dr. Fulton. And so consequently, she lived to get about 107. The horror is, wherever she is in her grave, if she heard me say that, she would have a fit. I couldn't believe anybody could be this close to the universe and feel this good about life and be ashamed about her age. And so, but Dr. Fulton, one day, when the research is done and people read her books, okay, they out there. You can't take that away. Then we'll know who she is. Two, you take Johnny Johnson. Johnny Johnson taught me something that I will take to I don't know where you go when you leave here, but it ain't no grave. My grandson was with me one day. We passed a cemetery, and these little children asked some serious questions. Granddad, why they got a fence around that cemetery? I say, because people are dying to get in there. that's why they got it. And so now, let's take Johnny Johnson. Let's say I lived in St. Louis, and you are the greatest philosopher on the planet. If I don't live in New York, I don't know you. I've never heard of you, Never heard of you. And only once Jet Magazine and Ebony Magazine came out and connected us. Connected the black folks in America. Joined us. One of the wild experiences I ever had during the Civil War in Uganda. I went over there with a group of people. We said, come on, let's go over here and check this out. You can't trust NBC. So we get over there, and they battling, and I see it like a 7-year-old child, man, with an automatic weapon. They're walking down the street, right? And then they took us off the bus, man, and lined us up against the wall. And what are you doing here? Who's here? And a sergeant, a little young sergeant. And a guy on a bicycle, a soldier, a grown older man, jumped off the bus and said, get Gregory. And everybody stopped and said, Dick Gregory, oh, God, you know about me. I've been knowing about you for years. Jet and Ebony magazine, huh?
Mm.
In Uganda. Okay? Why? Because I know you have a radio show. I'm talking about mythical.
Mm-hmm.
People tune in to you. I know how I do that from Jet and Ebony magazine.
Mm.
And we well, they don't show nothing but light-complected people. They don't show nothing but the entertainers and athletes in between that. That's what you wanted. I got to sell the book before I can put something in it.
Yes, sir.
And then I got to give you what you want.
Mm.
Okay? And so consequently, you look around, and then one day they can say anything they want. They can tell us about African leaders. They can show us something about anything. Why do you think you never looked at Jet and Ebony magazine and they reviewed a black movie bad? They never told you don't go see that.
That's right.
Okay? We can't afford that.
That's right.
And so we always want to sit and look because we are ashamed. We are ashamed of slavery. We're more ashamed of being a slave than the folks, that put us in slavery. There's something wrong with that. And so consequently, we take the heroes of slavery, Nat Turner, so-and-so. No, hold it. One day we will find out this is a luxury item, that ice hockey, the biggest white game on the planet, was invented by black runaway slaves and black free slaves in Canada. That's where ice hockey comes from. But what do I need to go to bed at night and know that? Is that going to help me read better? Is that going to help me do something better? Ice hockey? And so consequently, when you sit and see, now as you break these walls down, that question you asked me, we're going to do the same thing about women one day. Where are the women? Okay? Look at the women athletes. Did nobody care about that? Nobody cared who was the best woman backer. We cared about the best tennis because they was conquering a white game. Okay? That was doing something that made me feel good. Okay? And so consequently, when you see Jet and Ebony magazine and it had educational things in it, it exposed me not just to black, it exposed me to the whole world. And it also told me who got lynched last week. It also told me who got shot in the back 5 times last week. It was you got the word the communicator. It was the communicator. And finally, with this brother man told me he's the only black in the history of America that had a headquarters downtown. We still don't have a black company with a headquarters downtown. Did you hear me? And when he went, he had a white guy go buy the land. Didn't have nothing to do with your money. Y'all sit around here and talk about money this and business this. He had a white guy buy the land. After he bought the land, he went to the bank to finance it. They told him no. What did he do? He went back to the office, called the president of Chicago First National Bank, and said, make me up a certified check. I'm coming to take all my money out of the bank. And he said, is this Johnny? Yes, this is Mr. Johnson. Well, what happened? I came over there and I couldn't get a loan. Okay? I got over $300 million in your bank. Huh? So he said, no, we got to talk. So he came by the office. First time he ever been by there. He came by the office and he said, what happened? You know what happened. He said, well, let's do this. Come in tomorrow and we'll have a meeting. I think we can fix it. So he go in the next day, and in the meeting, they said, well, here's what we'll do. We will loan you the money, but you have to hire one of our accountants. Do what? Yeah, we have to hire one of our accountants so we know our money is safe. Let me get out of here. Give me my check. I said, wait, hold. So they worked that out. And then he said, well, the architect was the father of the young lady that Arthur Ashe married. Famous.
Right.
Yeah. So then they did the research and, well, he black folks don't know how to build nothing but churches. You mean they told him this? Those nothing but churches, man. Well, I built a pyramid, right? and so they worked it out so he could bring in black architect, this and that, put together. Now, here's what he told me one day in his office. He said, one of my policies is, if I fire anybody, if I caught them with my wife, if I caught them stealing, I'll fire them, but I'll pay them until they get another job. Did you hear what I just said? Did you hear what I just said?
Yes, sir. Pay them until they get another job.
So I'm saying, what a ripoff. I love you. No, I've never had to pay a person longer than 2 weeks. And I figured that out on my own. I'm married. I got a wife and a family. I work for you. You catch me stealing, catch me using drugs, and you find me. I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed with my wife. I got to go home and defend myself, and I start talking all dirty stuff about you, and you ain't no good, and you just because I'm smarter than you. Now I don't have to even tell you I'm fine. My check is coming. Now I can go and apply for another job with a spirit, and that's why he never paid. And when I opened up my company, I set that up as my policy. Okay. Now we go back to the boss man, Gaston, businessman. Now he functioned within the system, so his business expertise wouldn't work outside of America because it's just I got to take my money to a white bank, and I got to behave myself and know if they stole it, I can't call nobody.
Right, right.
Who gonna arrest the white banker over stealing money? Oh, he must be selling something illegal, right? He in that, I'm sure he had to loan money to white folks that needed it. See, when we just stopped talking about, little Wall Street, in Oklahoma, what city was that in?
You talking about Tulsa, Oklahoma?
Tulsa, Oklahoma. See, what we don't talk about is those black folks in the business circle. They had Chinese, they had Jews, they had Indians, And the real white folks out there was one black brother that was clearing $100,000 profit a week. Now they wanted in, and when they wouldn't let them, they looked up one day and them little crop dusters were dropping bombs on that part. Okay, they don't tell you about that. That's what you had to function inside and outside of. And so consequently, when he put that empire together, okay, then he decided he was going into the insurance business. Well, he become a billionaire.
Gaston.
How? Not the insurance that New York Life was selling. He was selling burial insurance. Burial insurance, not insurance to pay off your home or your mortgage. He was selling burial insurance because if you go to the Baptist church and get a Baptist hymn book, 98% of those songs are deaf tunes. You got shoes, I got shoes, all got children got shoes. Once we get to heaven, we're going, what you got to do to go to heaven?
You got to.
When we get to heaven, we're going to have milk and honey. Man, I couldn't wait. And then one day, I got enough sense to go buy some milk and buy some honey, and I mixed it. It do not taste good. So, Grandma, y'all waiting to get some milk and honey, go down to the grocery store and buy you some milk and mix it and see if it tastes good. Okay? But what I was saying in my subconscious mind, that this white boy is so thuggish and so ungodly, I will never get mine till I get to heaven. I will never get mine till I get to heaven. So he opened up burial insurance. Now listen to this. Because the way he had carried himself, he went to the white folks and borrowed $1,500, okay? $1,500. And put his company together, and you could buy it for a penny a week, And if you died, the funeral was paid for. So two of the folks he sold it to that first week they was gambling in a house that he stood up for gambling. And they got into an argument, and they took out their switchblades and cut each other to death. Now, Gaston got these two insured for a penny, right? That's all they paid was a penny. And now he got to bury them. He didn't cry. he tuned into the tactics of my mind. He went back to that white man and borrowed $3,000 and laid them away. Man, he went out, bought the best coffin, put him in the best suits, haircuts and everything, and it got all, of course, his thing was just a local thing. It got all over the black community that these guys got the best funeral anybody's seen for a penny. That's how his business took off. And then after it got so good, white companies started coming in.
Right.
And you can go to my old folks' house now, my aunt and them, and look through their stuff, and they got a burial insurance on Richard Gregory. They got a burial insurance on me. So that's what, and then he went into all kinds of things. He got into banking as the thing progressed. And so with you in the industry, when King needed something, you know, while we was waiting for it to come in, gas and bankrolled. And so that was him. That was that power. Okay? And then when you sit and look at the street sellers in the street, it's Africa, man. The one thing I haven't understand in New York City on Fifth Avenue, you see them Africans that's so black they purple, standing across from Boulevard Watch, standing across from all your high-end. They selling that for them, man. When them thug companies realize that the knockout product could make billions, just like them, so they sell two products. They sell the real one and the knockout product, okay? And so right there, why do they use them Africans? They invented banking and finance. When I see Africans, I go to Africa, they ain't begging. They got their hand out. They got something to sell. Why? That's the same thing Ford Motor and General Motors when you turn on TV. They ain't begging. They got their hand out trying to ask you to be a customer. That's what's in our genes, okay?
Brother Dick Gregory.
Yes.
Hold on 1 second while we get ready for call. No, go ahead.
Yeah, and I would like to know of that book. Because you break that book down.
You're cutting out on me.
Okay, say it again, my brother, because it seems like you're going in and out.
All right.
The book Nigger.
Nigger by Dick Gregory.
Right.
Yes.
It was the first book I ever read in my life.
Yes.
Before that, I hated reading, and I had to do a book report on that. But that's one thing, and that's something in my life that had persuasions. However, I would like to know. I really would love for you to make a movie of that, to break down that book facet by facet to the point where I keep your book on the same shelf as I keep the Bible and the Quran, my brother. Yeah. I'm gonna tell you that because it had relieved me of the anger that I had for the word and for certain people, because I grew up going to school with certain predominantly Caucasian schools, and we had to fight each and every day to get to school. I don't want to go too deep into it, but you know the flavor of what that consists of.
Okay.
And it was one of those things where it helped me when you in your book you just you are what you eat, you also are what you think. Near the end of the book, and you said if they had that in their mind, you said, so who's the nigga? If you are what you think. And that had resolved, just like that, a whole weight was lifted off of my whole soul, my brother. Yes. And I just want to say, man, because you don't like going on, you were the first black presidential candidate, if I can remember, other than Angela Davis, she ran. And
wait, let me back up. They ran in the primary.
Oh, it was the primary?
They ran in the primary. I ran in the country because I didn't have to go and ask nobody, can I run? I woke up one morning and said, I'm going to be a write-in candidate for the President of the United States. Jesse Jackson and Allen, they was in the primary up until Obama won the primary. Up until Obama won the primary, I was the first black man in the history of America to run for President of the United States. Now, you said toot horn.
Hold on. Okay, Dick. I'm sorry, tooting you. That you're reluctant to toot your own horn.
It's called royalties. It's all wrong. But what I do, let me tell you how I took my horn. Before I made it big with a wife and a family, I was making $1,500 a year with a wife and a family.
You said $1,500 a year?
A year. I was making $10 a night, 3 nights a week. Okay? And when the black folks in that little honky-tonk club tolerated me before I got funny. See, the biggest laugh you ever had in your life didn't come from comics. It comes from family members and friends. Comedy is when you put a time in together. A relay, you can have the best, fastest runners in the world. If you don't know how to pass that baton, you're not going to win. And so them black folks tolerated me and pushed me all the way downtown where they couldn't afford to see me. So it is my humanity to come back to them and say, hey, baby, how you doing? You know, I've always been listed in the phone book. I ain't never had no bodyguards, okay? Y'all made me, I mean, it gets boring sometimes. You're sitting in the restaurant trying to eat, and they come up and shake your hand after they finish. Okay, you go to a casino, I'll be in there playing the slots, and after they run out of money, they want to come over and shake my hand. You know, I'm trying to get these 3 hearts, man. You know? and so, but that I owe that to the community. I lived around the corner from Elijah Muhammad, right? I go around and see him and talk to him, and you learn humanity. Nobody say thanks but a fool. Thank you. You never heard no rich folks say thank you. You ain't never heard Queen Elizabeth say thanks. You haven't looked in the Christian Bible and heard Jesus say thanks. God ain't never told nobody to say thanks. It says humble yourself.
Humble yourself.
The mob can thank you today and blow your car up 2 blocks after they kiss you.
Hold on, Brother Dick. God bless you. Thank you for your call. You're on the Black Air.
Yes, brother. Good afternoon.
Turn your internet, your radio, whatever in the background down. This is WHCR. Yes, sir. Your question.
Better?
Yes, sir. God bless you.
Peace to you.
Yes. I'm liking to both you brothers. Dick, I'd like for you to talk a little bit about these black athletes, all this stuff. These guys are making millions of dollars. They have so much influence, but yet still they don't have any character based on, like, when in the days with Jim Brown, some sort of black organization among the players. Even if they had a shoelace making factory in the ghetto where they come from and hired black folks to work in a shoelace making factory and wore the shoelaces, it would do more for the community than what they're doing now with making these millions of dollars. Now you got LeVon James, he crying because he made $60 million a year, and that's not enough. But by the reality is, he done made $60 billion for the daggone city state that he's playing in.
So that's your question?
Yes, sir, brother.
Okay.
And I'll hang up and listen.
Thank you. Brother D.GreGory.
That's our fault. You know, what are athletes? They in entertainment, they're 5 degrees higher than pimps. Huh? They've been doing, them athletes been doing that since they was 5 years old. They not business people. When have you heard Jewish people get on the radio and talk about Jewish athletes? You need to do this. They are not business people. All I want an athlete to do is take that ball and outrun God. I don't need them. You don't go to no damn athlete for your brain surgery. We need them because we need a good feeling inside of us. But let me tell you, when Oprah Winfrey signs a $100 million check, the agents and stuff get 40% off the top. That's before taxes, okay? Y'all hear the glamour part, but you don't hear the filth. The entertainer and athlete in the business in America, if you took Hitler and them Nazis and multiplied them by 10 billion trillion times, you can't equal one entertainment industry. Why do you think they all end up broke? Most of them is uneducated, and those that are educated, they pass them through school just so they can keep playing football. So that's what you're dealing with, and that's what you're going to put your hopes on. These folks I just mentioned to you, they didn't talk about athletes, but Johnny Johnson, they put a plan together. They know more about the black community and how to sell than athletes do, because once they get to be good athletes, they move them from the black community. And And so when they get out there, they take their homeboys and open up a little T-shirt race. Well, if the homeboy can't handle that fast pace, they separate us, okay? Do you know how long it was before a black person, I just told you what happened with Johnny Johnson. He had to get a white dude to go in and buy the land downtown to build his building, okay? And so we still sitting here praising athletes. You got a handful. There's more of you all listening to this show today that have done more for the humanities than 99% of all the athletes and entertainers in America put together. And you'll know when we have won, when we look to somebody else, you know, as something other than an athlete and an entertainer. Let me tell you something about professional sports. Professional athletes' life expectancy is 54 years of age. Winos live longer than that. They shoot them up with dope. They shoot them up with drugs for the pain. Anytime you sitting at home looking at a football game on Sunday and you see, you see an athlete get hit so hard, stuff is shaking in your living room. And then Monday, you pick up the paper and they say, yeah, a shotgun, Italian Jones. He had a brain concussion. He had a broken nose, fractured jaw, sprained hip, and a fractured knee. But we sure he'll be ready for next Sunday's game. What more you want out of them?
Hold on a second, Dick. Hold on while you laugh at the truth. Laugh to keep from crying. The last few minutes with Brother Dick Gregory. Telephone number 212-650-6903. Talking about Black history and other things. God bless you. Thank you for your call. You're on the Black Air.
Yes, thank you and good morning.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Always a great pleasure hearing Dick Gregory.
I don't know where you are, but I guess it's morning somewhere.
Go ahead, brother.
Okay, you started on the program. You said something about a lady that was influential to you, and John Johnson, and another person named Gaston. Could you?
He's talking about Alvenia. Alvenia. Spell her first name, Dick, and her last name. Is it Alvenia Fulton?
Yes.
Alvenia Fulton. Fulton.
Right, yes. And you can look her up. I don't know how much they have on the internet, but you go to the old-time black books in Harlem. They might have some of her old stuff. But I would also hit up your books that you can see. Whatever you get is worth having. That's how brilliant she was.
Okay, caller?
Okay, Alvenia Fulton. I can look her up on the internet. Yep. And John Johnson and the other guy that went into the burial business, Gaston. What was his first name?
But he was big business. He was big business.
A.G. Gaston. I think A.G. Gaston, Gaston. There's a biography on him. I think it's called Black Titan. And John Johnson, his autobiography is a very good book. Very good book. I just can't recall the title of it. But John H. Johnson, his autobiography is a very good read. Very good read, brother. And Alvenia Fulton, you have to look for her wherever you can find her books, okay? And quite often when you this is one of my trade secrets, when you're looking for some books that aren't out, meaning in circulation anymore, and you looked at Amazon, you couldn't find it, you start going into thrift shops.
Yeah. Right.
Look through those books, and I always recommend get the oldest dictionary that you can find out of one of those thrift shops. They give you a whole lot more than some of the watered down dictionaries today. Okay, right, my brother?
Okay, in order to reach Dick Gregory, to go on the internet, or he has his own website? Yeah,
DickGregory.com.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, brother. Right. Telephone number 212-650-6903, 212-650-6903. Going back to Sister Alvenia Fulton, you said the drug addicts and the street people were coming in to the store. She would serve them salad, but they were drinking the salad dressing.
Yeah, that was the sex stimulant. That's all they're coming in for.
Okay, what she didn't put Viagra in it because it wasn't around, but she put together.
They might have took what she did and made Viagra.
You know? Okay. Okay, very good, very good. Telephone number 212-650-6903. What, if any, contact did you have with Fannie Lou Hamer?
Nothing, just in marching. Remember, I didn't live there.
Right.
I wasn't part of the movement there. I would go in whenever there was a crisis. When the two senators from Mississippi, Eastland and Stennis, because of the voting rights, what did I tell you? They cut the food stamps off, and our good friend Kennedy went along with it. They cut the food stamps off, and only once the black folks who had been dependent on food stamps. So when I went, I met with Fannie Lou Hamer and the NAACP, and I said, look, how much food do you think it would take? And we sit down and worked out, well, let me bring 70 tons of food in every 2 weeks. And I paid for that. I mean, I'd go to Hefner and different folks and borrow the money to one of my checks come in. But it was that love you saw with them. And you see, what you see, the movement. If you just heard Malcolm's speeches, if you missed it, he was one of the funniest cats on the planet, man. And most of the time I feel embarrassed being around him. That's how shy he was. He was so shy and humble. He said yes, sir, and no, sir, to children, to women, to white folks, to black folks. When that camera come on, watch out. And so in the South, you know, we weren't scared all the time. We would sit around and talk. We'd go to them churches and listen to them preachers. You know, you hear King. Man, you got some preachers down there that can hoop. They do it every Sunday, man, with no Hollywood writers, huh? And you don't hear the same script over and over, and they do not leave their house on Sunday morning. And okay, let me see what jokes I'm going to use today. It's in the spirit. And that's what that movement was about. And so but you know, we come up with great black women. You know, we let white folks pull a couple out the hat for us, but we come up with great black women. I mean, we know about the ones they want us to know about after they dead, okay? And so when you look at Rosa Parks, I mean, her daddy was mean and bitter because he wanted to be a Garvey knight. But Marcus Garvey said, if you yell, you cannot come in here. Just said, so he stood out on his porch every night with his double-barrel shotgun and dared somebody to mess with his house. You had a black guy in some little bitty town in Mississippi. The Ku Klux Klan ran up on his porch with torches to burn his house down. He shot both of them dead, okay? Now, here's the sad part. All at once, because of the movement, they couldn't just come and kill him, take him out of jail and kill him because the Justice Department was watching sometime. And so they negotiated a deal. They said, if you plead guilty to the lesser and you give him 18 months in jail with 6 of that suspended. Now, you couldn't do that outright because you would lose because the white folks had to vote for you. But they engineered that. So he went to jail. And the first night he was in jail, the next night his wife died. Why? They had been married for like almost 75 years. She was 13 when he married her. He was 15. Okay? They had never spent a night away from each other. Wow. Did you hear me? They had never spent a night. You know, well, it's a vacation. You don't go on no vacation. You ain't got no job where you have to travel. Every one of those nights, they were together, and all at once, here's a night, he is not there, and she died. That's the struggle. That's what, those are the things that persuaded me, is to see what happened. Here's a brother sitting up, NAACP, sitting up on his porch, baby, when they come there to burn his house down and kill everybody in it. And he shot and killed both of them. And for the first time, people started getting scared. They said, wait a minute, oh my God. Because they listen to these Negroes that's telling them, oh, that's an awful thing. I don't know why he must not be a good Christian, okay? And so that was the atmosphere there.
Telephone number 212-650-6903, 212-650-6903. And we've been talking about Black history, the value of Black history, and you shared with us some very good notes. Current events, insights into, hold on a second while we go to this call. God bless you. Thank you for your call. You're on the Black Air.
Yeah, I have Dick Gregory speak something on Claudette Colvin.
I'm sorry, say that again?
I have Dick Gregory speak on Claudette Colvin.
Okay, are you aware of that Claudette Colvin? Is that it?
I have Dick Gregory to speak on Claudette Colvin. The woman was arrested before Rosa Parks.
Oh, okay. All right.
Oh,
okay.
You know.
Go ahead, brother.
The woman that was arrested before Rosa Parks, there was 3 women that was arrested before Rosa Parks. What they had to do to keep the momentum up. See, we misunderstand black folks. I just told you how they treated Malcolm and Elijah Muhammad and the Nation of Islam. This woman had 5 children by 5 different white men. So they decided this is not the good case to take up. Okay? And we do the same thing when we, the NAACP, evaluate folks. There's a whole lot of people. You know, Dr. Ife Williams, she do evaluations of people who send to the White House to be picked for certain jobs. And you can have 12 PhDs, but if you got a crack bust on your thing when you was in high school, they're going to tear that up. So you pick the one, and especially that would embarrass black folks. And so consequently, they didn't pick. Rosa Parks didn't get on that bus picked to get arrested. She got on that bus, behaved just like all the other black folks. But what we don't know about that system, it was a law that blacks rode in the back half, whites rode in the front half. When the front half got full, blacks had to get up and get their seat, and they did that. What we didn't know, and I didn't know, that you got on the bus, paid your fare, and then got off and walked to the back door. Because of her dignity and her not smiling and flirting with the bus driver, the bus driver several times drove off and left her. Now, to show you how close that come to not happening, she told me, had I known that was him, I wouldn't have got on that bus. She got on the bus, went to the back, sit down, and the bus filled up in the front. A white guy got on the bus, and he wasn't having no problems with standing. The bus driver had so much hatred for her, he went back to her and told her to move. And you black folks let these white folks run that N-word on you. I don't even want to deal with it because I can't tell you what it feel like if I got to tell you he walked back there and said N-word. But when the New York Times want to run it, they say nigger, okay? So how do y'all get that crazy? How do y'all get that crazy? And so somewhere the problems that you still have of getting over certain things. If somebody called you a billionaire, you wouldn't be upset, and you'll never be a billionaire. You can never be a nigger. But why you grab negativity? Some welfare mother told Rockefeller he was broke. If he was arguing with her, I'd take my money out to Chase Manhattan Bank. You don't argue with food. You don't have it. We used to have a slang. If the hat fit, wear it. If it's too tight, tear it. Okay? And that's what we do. And so consequently, she sit there and didn't get up. Because let me tell you what getting up meant. A white person couldn't sit next to another black person. So if she got up, the black man sitting next to her had to get up, and the 2 black people sitting across from her had to get up. So you had to give up 4 seats. They was doing it. But then all at once, she decided she wasn't going to move. Now, they try to say her feet was tired. They try to say everything to try to make you think that she was doing it because she'd been at work all day and she was tired. No. And so consequently, that's what happened, and it blew up around the world. And that movement got so big, the Montgomery Improvement Association was getting millions of dollars coming in from all over the world. Now they had another problem. They cannot put that money in one of them banks, because them white folks would steal it or keep it or say you never had it.
Right.
And if they said that, who you gonna call? The police?
Go ahead.
Huh? You gonna call the FBI? So way back, 100 years before this happened, a guy named Richard Pullman in Chicago decided that he believed that the white folks had enough money on the ride trains that would have a sleeping car where they could sleep in special dining. Before that, the super rich would just hook they train onto the train. And so he went to London and they built him, because he'd come back. It was at the middle of Reconstruction. All the black folk couldn't. He went down south and said, "I'm looking for tall, 6'3" black men, dark black with white pearly teeth and know how to smile." And that's how he came up with the Pullman porters. And so consequently, the Pullman porters would hear everything. They'd hear them rich white folk talking about what stock they're gonna trick, blah blah blah. Well, you was a non-person. And then when them money started coming in, now the railroad knew that in order for them to stay in business at that level, they had to have some place where them northern Negroes, Pullman porters, could sleep and eat. So they went into the black community and put money up for the folks that had homes to keep X amount of rooms, 24 hours a day for the Pullman porters, and food. They would put the money up for the food. And so all at once now, when them checks started coming in from around the world to the Montgomery Improvement Association, they would give it to the Pullman porters to take back up north and put it in the bank. And when they came back down, they'd give them the receipt. Okay, that's how all of that came together and hit. So we always, if you have 3 sons, you're going to pick the